We have an AITA story from the AITA subreddit. This one is, am I the astronaut for freaking out on my fiance after he showed up to our wedding in khaki pants and an Xbox shirt? Uh-oh. It seems like a failure to launch kind of moment. I, 27 female, and my fiance James, 28 male, had been dating for 5 years, engaged for 1. Our friends always said we had the perfect relationship. We often had date nights, we were healthy communicators, we mostly never fought, and our bedroom life was great. The only thing that we have ever really fought about is his best friend. His best friend Lucas, 27 male, isn't very responsible. He bounces from job to job and lives in an apartment that his mom pays for. I've never mentioned anything because I don't want to be rude. We usually fight because he comes home drunk late in the morning, but it gets quickly resolved. At 9:30, my future mother-in-law comes in and tells me my fiance isn't here yet. I'm not very worried at this point because he usually isn't very punctual. It's a little upsetting because it's his wedding, but I don't take it too hard. At around 11:30, my future mother-in-law comes in again and tells me she sent his brother and sister to look for him. At 2 o'clock, 1 hour before the ceremony started, my fiance walks in with his brother and sister. The first thing I notice is his eyes are red and he almost trips over himself. My face drops in horror as I see everyone look at him and then me. I look him up and down and I see that he's wearing khaki pants and a black t-shirt with the Xbox logo on it. I rip my ring off my finger and run up to him crying. I throw the ring at him and ran out. My sister and mother followed me. My mom drives us back to my house and I sobbed my eyes out. Me and my mom and sister sat home, all crying. The next morning, someone knocked on the door and my mom answered. She told me it was my fiance and that he wanted to talk to me. He told me not to say anything and let him explain. I reluctantly agreed. He said that he wanted to spend his last free night with his best friend hanging out. They have matching Xbox t-shirts that they wear whenever they play. They decided to have 1v1s and drink whenever they lost. They got so drunk they passed out and didn't wake up until his brother came and dragged him to the wedding. He said he was sorry. I absolutely exploded on him and told him, you were dragged to your wedding? Clearly playing Xbox with your best friend is more important than your fiance. You know how important this is to me. I told you so many times and you decided to get drunk and show up in your stained Xbox t-shirt to our wedding. I can't believe you would jeopardize our entire relationship over beers and whatever game you were playing. I never want to see you again. Get out of my house. This is the part where I may be the asshole. He left crying. My dad patted me on the back and my mom said I was a little harsh and maybe should apologize. A few hours later, he texted me. It shouldn't matter what I wore. It should matter that we were together on our wedding day. His mom and sister were telling me all day how rude I was to him and how I was a wicked wench who should never have been trusted. I told them to please not contact me. So Reddit, tell me, am I the asshole? So this is Candy Thunder.
Hi, guys.
What do you think about this story?
I think that this is not the first time that this has happened to her, that he chose video games and friends over their family that they're trying to build.
Do you think if she chose to stay with him and go ahead and get married and forgive him, this would just keep happening?
Yes. And when they have kids, he's never going to show up. He's never going to be accountable. He's never going to be reliable. I feel like there's so much left out because why is the mom and sister-in-law calling her a wicked wench for being pissed that he showed up dragged to his wedding?
Yeah. Also, his little bullshit baby statement about shouldn't matter what I wore. No, dude, it effing matters because it's your damn wedding. Your attire is pretty important.
It's not even the attire, it's the effort that you put forth in order to be there and wear what you're supposed to wear and show up and be there for the person that you're marrying because that's the day you start your lives together.
Right. And he tried to make it about the clothes. It's like, it shouldn't matter what I wore. It just matter that we're together on our wedding. Dude, you weren't together. You were drunk, passed out somewhere from a game night for your last free night. And that's the biggest red flag that I see is viewing this as entering a prison sentence.
Yep.
Kind of says all you need to know about how he views this marriage. And maybe he was talked into going through with it by his mom or whatever, trying to get him to grow up. I don't know. But what you got was a preview of the rest of your life. And there has to be enough pain to create change. And hopefully this is enough pain for him to change so that his future wife someday, if he's ever so lucky to find someone who will put up with his bullshit to get him to a mature point, maybe he can change his outlook on relationships and get to a point where this kind of shit doesn't happen. Sorry, I just took off there. Other thoughts on this?
I agree.
So I talked about how you have been really helpful for me whenever I start getting into the habit of choosing me time too often. I'm a PC gamer. I like to game and squad up with your brother and some of his friends sometimes, and we'll game together. And if the balance of choosing me time too often gets to a point where it's doing harm to the relationship, somebody's got to speak up. And you spoke up to tell me that you weren't mad, but you felt like I had been choosing this rather than us time too often. And you gave me the opportunity to fix it. And that is a huge deal. And I fixed it.
I agree with that. If you don't speak up and say something and give somebody the opportunity to fix something that's wrong, they may not know because not everybody thinks the same way. So they're not going to know that you have a problem because that's your problem and you want to give someone the opportunity to fix that problem. Am I the asshole for freaking out on my fiance after he showed up to our wedding? No,
Valid.
you're not the asshole. I mean, it's NTA. You don't show up to your wedding and act like you don't care about the wedding. That says you don't want to be at the wedding. You don't want to be a part of the wedding. So don't get married.
Yeah.
Continue to game and sleep in till 2:00 in the afternoon.
Single life for you, bro. At least for a little while longer. Maybe you'll be ready to give it up at some point. That's rough. And it would lead to a troublesome marriage. That's for damn sure.
And I support people who game. Dustin uses it to blow off steam and
Unless it's
escape
Call of
from
Duty,
reality.
and then I just get more pissed off. You can use it for different things. If I'm trying to just chill out and reset before I start working, or sometimes I'll use it as a reward for myself and be like, okay, if I can get all this shit done, then I can game for 30 minutes and I'll allow myself that thing so that I don't do it instead. If I had shown up on our wedding day looking hungover, wearing clearly not what I was supposed to be wearing, it would have been an issue. And it would have been more than anything a sign. It would have been a sign about, how seriously I'm taking this commitment. And that is the biggest problem. Diablo 4, I hear, is great. Candy Thunder's brother Ryan has been raving about it. I'm in this thing where I have to beat 100% of Hogwarts Legacy before I can allow myself to get into another game. But I will jump into Call of Duty and do multiplayer a little bit here and there because it's quick. You can do a quick game in Call of Duty multiplayer. It's a little bit tougher to do a 15-minute session on Hogwarts Legacy.